Okay, Dr. Espinoza asked me to talk about functioning of a facial plastic surgery clinic. My interpretation of that is that it would take me forever to talk about. But there is one thing that is indispensable. There's one thing that you must have, and that is inspirational leadership from above. That's you, everyone sitting in this room. So I'm going to try to focus on one topic and explore it in depth in the next 20 minutes or so. I was at a business meeting about a month ago in Austin, Texas, and the question was asked by the speaker, what is the single most important factor that leads one to success? Now, obviously, as surgeons, I would obviously say great results, and unequivocally, that's important. No doubt. That's what's going to make your reputation. But in life and in business, the single most important factor that leads to success is not ambition, it's not yourself, it's the ability to build and leverage networks. In order to have success, you have to have other people working with you to get to that success. Your staff is everything. And what this core of this lecture is about is getting great staff. In short, great leadership. If you don't have leadership, you're not going to have great staff. That's the bottom line. So what is leadership all about? Let's start with a very fundamental basic idea, which is the leader buy-in, which is the idea that if you are going to be a great leader, you have to have great character, period. Before you start espousing a vision, before you start coming up with a game plan of how you're going to lead the troops, you yourself have to be a winner. You yourself have to be a leader. You yourself has to be the source of inspiration for your staff. If you are not, it doesn't matter what vision you have. Your staff won't believe it and they won't follow. So the thing that I learned from Ed Williams, who is my mentor, is absolutely control at all times, which is you never lose your anger. You know, that's easy. I trained with a lot of surgeons that threw instruments across the room. But Ed, when he had a problem in the operating room or whatever it was, he blamed himself. That takes character. And when the staff sees that, they see that they're working with someone who is so much higher than they could even imagine. So remember one thing, if you cannot control your temper, if you cannot control yourself, you cannot control anyone else or anything else. That's critical. Don't think you're a king. Don't think you're a queen. Don't stand apart from your staff. Be part of them. Your staff is your family. It's your lifeblood to success. It's your lifeblood, period. And if you are separate, that's a problem. Take out the trash. Let them see you do it. That may sound ridiculous. Maybe to people more senior, that may be ridiculous. But for me, I believe that that's important to show that I'm one of the people. There's a great book by John Maxwell called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. In that book, the chapter that had the most meaning to me was, where do leaders come from? I was raised in Texas as an Asian guy, and I was, it was a time of more racism in the 1980s. And during that time, I was not a leader by any stretch of the imagination. But I had a great mentor. And that was, again, I said Ed Williams, who was my fellowship director. And here's the thing. What they found in a study was that leaders are not born. They don't even come about through crisis situations. That may account for 10% of leaders out there. Leaders are inspired by other great men and women. And if you have not been inspired by a mentor, find one. And if you can be one, be one. That's what's so powerful. There's another thing that's so important. You're not going to be able to motivate your staff. You can only inspire them. If you hire the wrong people, they're not going to go anywhere with you. You need to get the right people on the bus, and you need to make sure that you can inspire them. I hire on personality. I don't hire on experience. In fact, I don't even want them to be part of a plastic surgical practice and develop skills and habits that are probably not in alignment with my own. A great book I read recently is Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath. The way that I've designed my website, the way that I communicate with my staff is through stories, by talking about real-life human stories and making it simple. They can connect and remember stories. I'm not doing a lot of stories right now. It's probably the opposite of what I should be doing. But what they found was it doesn't matter how great the speaker is. Doesn't matter how bad the speaker is. The only thing people remember 10 minutes after the speech was a story about something. And I'm going to try to get some stories in here, hopefully here. There's a great book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the subsequent book, Cash Flow Quadrant, broke down the ways that we see the world. We see the world, and that's emphasized through the way that we speak. You can tell what the person is like based on the way they talk. B is a business person. They hire smarter people around them to do the job. S is basically a self-employed person, usually a professional like a physician or an attorney that says, you know what, I can do a better job than anyone else around me. And E is an employee. They focus on job security, they focus on benefits. They don't focus on risk, they're risk adverse. And then eventually when you have enough affluence or money, then you start looking at investments. I always say that I'm a little B and little S. That's an English joke, American, a little BS. But I really believe that I can hire smarter people around me, which is critical. And I do believe from a surgical standpoint I can do a better job, but I hire people that can do the things that I need them to do, so I don't have to do them. Get the right people on the bus. This is from Built to Last and Good to Great. Wonderful books if you haven't read them. But get the right people on the bus. You can't train people that are not the right people. And the only way that you can have them see your vision is for you to be humble for a moment and become a servant leader. That means transparency. That means that they can see in you that you actually do care about them first, and there is that in them. I don't lead followers. I lead leaders. Because a great leader knows how to delegate and not micromanage. I remember when I first started my fellowship, Ed told me, he said, Sam, I told Ed, I said, Ed, I'm a control freak. And he said, Sam, you're not going to get anywhere with that. If you continue to micromanage your life, you'll destroy your staff, you'll destroy your business. Of course, the first thing you hear with an insult like that is like, hey, come on, there's no way, he's wrong. But you know what, he's right. You can't do that. We talked earlier this morning about consultations, and we don't get any training about how to do a good consultation. We don't get any training on how to behave. We're so focused in books the whole life that we don't even know how to do this. That's why I think all the lectures I've given you this weekend, this is the only one that matters. I'll be honest with you. And leaders create other leaders. That's so important, so that my staff has a cascade chain of leadership. I hire smarter people than I am. Diana is smarter than I am. She's incredibly, her IQ is probably off the charts compared to mine. She does a great job in organizing and doing the whole backside of my office, which is wonderful. And, as a point of perspective, when Diane started with me, she said, Dr. Lamb, I don't know if I want to be doing this. She was a manager for an OB/GYN hospital. She saw lives being changed. And I said to Diane, I said, you know what, we're in the business of taking care of people and transforming lives. And she saw it. When we did a little segment on a Yahoo segment back in December, my patients were in tears. Diana was in tears. My mom, who's my office manager, was in tears. And I said, now you see what I mean by transforming lives. We're in the business of taking care of people. We're not just plastic surgery. In fact, we're not plastic surgery. We're in the business of taking care of people. Your staff has got to believe in your vision, and they have to share that vision with you. So what is that vision? What is it? You have to, first of all, expect them to succeed. If you expect your staff to fail, guess what's going to happen? They're going to fail. That's a law of expectations. You must expect them to succeed. And how do you get them there? Every day you build a cathedral. FedEx, the reason FedEx succeeds is because the CEO told the staff, hey guys, you know what you're carrying in your package? You may be carrying primary critical papers that could make a big deal, make a difference in other people's lives. So those guys are on time. They're on time because they care. And if you make your staff walk to work every day and they're